perfect.
Said that if the right team does not pick him, that you will intervene.
That's my son. It's not like who I would like for him to play for. It's a couple teams that I won't allow him to play for. It's almost like you got a child that's going into an occupation that you already dominated in. Like, come on. And you don't think I'm not gonna sit there like a navigational system and tell him, take a right there, take a left right there, take a, not that, not that, oh, no. Like, that's who I'm called to do. That's my son. I'm not gonna let my son get down in no foolishness.
But you and I both know these coaches, these owners, right? You've been in the rooms.
Right.
The owners, billionaire owners,
yes,
will often say, well, this is a young man who should be making his own decisions. You know, he's got this helicopter dad.
Not my son.
You predict Shedeur and Travis going in the draft?
Top 4.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Anywhere from 1 through 4. One of them is going to be 1.
That's what I'm talking about.
One of them is going to be 1.
Speak it into existence.
And the latter one would not go behind 4. Now, all this is subjective because I know where I kind of want them to go. And let's not forget Shallow, okay? But I know where I want them to go. So there's certain cities that ain't gonna happen.
Okay, you on point.
It's gonna be it's gonna be an Eli.
What about the plan for Shedeur, who could be first overall? What's your plan here, your draft plan?
I just want these guys happy, man. I just want them happy with in the right situation to soar. Unfortunately, they're so good that they're going to go to a team that wasn't that good the prior year. But that could all change with an announcement of their names.
Do you have a spot that you want Shedeur to go to that you're not?
No.
You don't have one.
You know what his goal is? Go before I did, and he's going to eclipse that because I was 5th pick. He's certainly going to be 1 or 2 or whatever it's going to be.
Deep down, you know the teams that could potentially take your son here.
Yeah, it's the Raiders and the Giants. The Raiders and the Giants is those two probably.
Will you step in Eli Manning like, Deion Sanders like, to the point where like you told him, hey man, I ain't taking that psych test with the Giants. I followed you after that. I said I wasn't taking it either. Will you step in and do some of that if it's the wrong organization and say he ain't going there?
Yeah, but I'm not going to do it publicly. I'll do it privately.
Yeah. Okay.
So you said you're going to be dad. You're going to be dad. You're going to be dad.
Dad, the cows come home. Yes, sir. And with Travis as well.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting that's your other son.
That's your other son.
But give us a little bit more insight on where you would like to. You don't even have to name teams. You can just give me region, style, whatever, that Shedeur needs or you want to see him go and play for. You don't have to give me teams, just give me regions.
I'm not going to give you regions, I give you understanding.
Give me understanding.
Somebody that can handle the quarterback that he is. Somebody that can handle understanding that what he's capable of. Someone that has had success in the past handling quarterbacks, or someone in an organization understands what they're doing. Not just throwing you out there amongst the wolves if you don't have the support in the infrastructure of the team. Forget the line. He's played with lines that hadn't been great, but he's been able to do his thing. But just the infrastructure of the team and the direction of where we're going. He could deal with anything. One thing about Shedeur that separates him from a lot of quarterbacks, Shedeur started every game in high school, every game in college, but one. And he's just, he is like that, man. Like, he has a true gift, and it comes from God, and he loves this game of football. You see him stunning like his daddy every now and then, but that's just who he is. He got that honest. You got to see that. He got that honest. But this kid loves this game, and he has an insatiable appetite to win. And I want somebody to be able to propel him to the next level as well. You know, not just getting drafted by a team. Because
trying to change the franchise or the coach that don't give me. So you should know history repeats itself over and over and over, and I've done it over and over and over, so it should be no question why an NFL franchise should pick me. You think I'm worried about what critics say or what people gotta say? You know who my dad is? They hated on him too. So it's like, it's almost normal. Without people hating, it's not normal for us. So we like diversity, we like everything that comes with the name, that's why we are who we are.
Now let's get the Sanders family reaction of the draft here.
Draft. The New Orleans Saints select Kelvin Banks Jr., tackle, Texas. So does a lot. Changing location.
Saints select Tyler Shuck, quarterback. Louisville.
Switch it up.
Quarterback. There it is.
Wow.
One of the most intriguing prospects.
Wow.
So we have two prime examples, pun intended. You had Deion Sanders, who came out and talked about how good his son is. He's going to pull an Eli Manning, all of this stuff, right? And he did the talking for his son. And there's those two different types of parents. You have the one who does all the talking for his kid. Either he wants to live through the kid's success, or he wants his kid to amount to the same success that he had. And then you have the other parent who lets his kid do the talking for him. And that's just kind of how it is. So we have a prime example of this. We have Deion Sanders with Shedeur Sanders. And then we have Marvin Harrison with Marvin Harrison Jr. Completely opposite with how they handled things. Marvin Harrison was always quiet in his career. And you saw that with his son, Marvin Harrison Jr., went to play for Ohio State. There was 3 wide receivers, NFL wide receivers in front of him, actually 4, which was, you had Emeka Egbuka up there. Emeka Egbuka came back this last year. You had Jackson Smith and Jigba. You had Chris Olave, and you had Garrett Wilson. Marvin Harrison didn't demand that his son start right away. He didn't demand all these things. He wasn't public about all these things. He just let his son go and do what his son had to do. And his son proved himself. And it was obvious how the career turned out for Marvin Harrison Jr. He was a beast, and he's very quiet. You don't hear him say a whole hell of a lot, and he could have. Marvin Harrison Jr. could have talked more crap than Shedeur Sanders could. And yet Shedeur Sanders talks way more crap than Marvin Harrison Jr. And he couldn't prove even half of what Marvin Harrison Jr. did in college. I mean, it was just obvious as hell that everywhere he went, he was bracket covered, you name it. So you have two different styles of parenting there. And you saw how it panned out for the Sanders family. Not as well. And he said in one of the videos that his son started wherever he played. The only issue with that for me is I'm pretty sure, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was the coach everywhere his son played. So that sticking point isn't really a good sticking point, on top of which, even if he wasn't the coach everywhere he went, you're Deion Sanders and that's your son. Almost any coach out there is going to start him just because of the name alone, just because of the hype that they want around their team. Okay, so to me, that loses its umph. The other thing, to talk about Eli Manning, and you're going to pull an Eli Manning and you're crapping on crappy teams who tend to have the most draft picks, who tend to pay the players the most that come out of the draft because they have the best draft picks, meaning they were the worst, is not a good move. Okay, that is a terrible move in my opinion, because if you look over the history of who actually pulled a Eli Manning, you're talking very few players, right? You're talking Eli Manning obviously did it. You're talking the Manning family. You're talking John Elway did it with the Baltimore Colts. You're talking Jim Kelly did it with Buffalo, but then had to come back and play with Buffalo. And all the guys that we're talking about there are like really good. There's very few players that pulled this off and or attempted to pull it off, because it's a crazy move to do. It could backfire really quickly, and you got to be very sure of yourself. And I think what truly happened with the Sanders family is I think Deion Sanders truly forgot the business aspect. He said he knows the business. He knows how it works. I don't believe that, because I think what happened was he had too much yes men around him. Everywhere he went, he was just given the keys to the castle. CU, Jackson State, organizations or programs bent over backwards and said, do what you want, right? And he thought that would continue. The problem is you weren't dealing with head coaches in the NFL. You're dealing with the GMs, you're dealing with the presidents, you're dealing with the owners. Those guys are business people, okay? They're all about business. It's all crunching numbers. That's what they do. And if you deal with business people, you'll know business people want the best deal, right? So any business person out there, if you had someone that you were going to hire for services, right, and they came on and they dictated to you everything that you can and cannot do, and you're the one who signs the deal, what are you going to likely do? You're not going to go with them. And if you would, you're probably not very good at business, right? So I think Deion Sanders truly forgot how the business actually works. And in his mind, he was used to everyone telling him yes. And then when he was in the NFL, he was so good that he thought that that's how business works. And that's not how business works. And so his son paid the price for his mistake. He got too cocky, and he believed his son was at the same level of Eli Manning, of John Elway, of these people before him, like Jim Kelly even. And it didn't even work for Jim Kelly. Bills said, nah, they weren't going to play that game. They called his bluff, and Jim Kelly learned about business that time. That's when he learned about business. And so Shedeur Sanders and even Deion Sanders is where they relearned about business. So I think that's the biggest thing that happened here. I think his true talent, Shedeur Sanders, is around a second to a third. I still think he would have gone first if they played the business aspect of this, but they didn't. So that's my opinion on it, and that's what happened. This doesn't really have to do with anything else. They got cocky, they got arrogant, if I'm being frank, and the true business guys out there said it's not going to happen, and they put them in their place. That's my opinion.